another edition of Flea Market Fantasy, the world's second greatest Bronze Age era comic book podcast. Joining me, as always, is new Michael, Kevin Jank.
What do you mean I can't take off my sweater? I'm hot.
That's you doing a drunk Tony Stark, right? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, or Mr. Rogers, one of the two.
Yeah, either one.
Either way, it's a tribute to our hero tonight.
Yes, today we'll be reviewing Iron Man 127 from 1979, and this is one issue before the famous Demon in a Bottle story, the official one-issue story.
So close.
Jake, I've never read any of these books.
This sets the table for Demon in the Bottle, so that's something.
Yeah, I've never read any of these stories. Like, it seems like you're familiar with them. Like, did you have a Demon in the Bottle trade paperback or something?
I sure did, and I do. I have not sold that one yet, so
that's good.
I have it right here in front of me.
Oh, look at you.
Holding on to it.
So, well, if you can look at that trade paperback right now, like, what issues does it contain exactly?
It's got 120 through 128.
Ah, so we're right at the end here.
Right near the end.
Yeah,
Yep.
right at the end. And the creators here are David Michelinie. He's the writer. And the artist is John Romita Jr., although he was doing like the breakdowns, and Bob Layton was doing the embellishing and the inking. If you look at it, I think it looks more like Bob Layton for the most part.
Yeah. This does not strike me as heavily John Romita Jr. at all.
Well, also this is very early. Yeah, this is very early John Romita Jr.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think Layton was, it was like one of them breakdowns finishing deals, not so much tight pencils. So it does end up looking like Bob Layton.
They did a good job together, so I like it.
Yeah, you can see some John Romita in there, but it's just
every once in a while.
As usual. All right, we've talked about them, all those creators, many times on the show, but we'll recap their stuff later on. First, let's give some Iron Man backstory. Although we have done an Iron Man issue before on the show, but just to refresh everybody's memory here, this is
way early on.
Yeah, Tony Stark is the fella's name.
Don't say it. You write this down.
Yeah, you better take notes on this. Yeah, so Tony Stark. His first appearance of Iron Man, Jank. Would you happen to know what it is off the top of your head?
Yeah. No. Tales of Suspense or something like that.
It is Tales of Suspense.
Yeah. I couldn't tell you the issue number.
Issue 39 from 1963. And Iron Man was co-created by Stan Lee and Larry Lieber. Now,
that's his brother.
That's right. His younger brother is Larry Lieber. And Stan came up with the character.
He did the comics in the newspaper, right?
Yeah, he did the Spider-Man, I think, in the newspaper, I believe, right? I don't think that's true. He also co-created Thor and Ant-Man, this Larry Lieber fellow. But Stan Lee came up with the idea of the character, and then Lieber was the one who scripted the first issue. Stan wanted to write the first issue, but he got busy and couldn't do it, so Larry took it over. So he's given, he really fleshed out the character. And the character was designed by Don Heck, who did the Tony Stark aspect of it, and Pepper Potts and all that stuff. But Jack Kirby did the first armor, the big, bulky, robot-looking gray armor. That was Jack Kirby.
Yeah. That seems like a Jack Kirby drawing right there.
Yeah, very much so. Because back then the covers were done first, so he did that, and then Don Heck copied it then for the issue. Iron Man got his sleeker red and gold costume in Tales of Suspense issue 48, and that was designed by Steve Ditko.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, he did a good job. I mean, that's distinctive. Much better than the original version. But, I mean, the original version is supposed to be a prototype, essentially. It's not supposed to be what he sticks with. Can't give it too much shit.
And I think, didn't he have, like, little red points on his mask, too, early on? At least on the old cartoons, I see he had little points.
Yeah, they're kind of golden. You have the golden points kind of coming up. Yeah.
Lee wanted to make Tony Stark the ultimate capitalist, and he based his character on Howard Hughes. Because for those who don't know...
a little bit less eccentric where he's not, holed up, afraid of germs, because that would be a very boring adventure book.
Yeah, this is early Howard Hughes, when he was the Playboy ladies' man inventor guy. And, of course, Tony Stark is a weapons manufacturer, and he... which is kind of, Lee said he was doing that on purpose because of the times, everybody was against war, and here you got a hero who's making weapons, so that's
Stan Lee, always thinking back then.
Yeah. And his hero, on the outside, he's invulnerable. He's this man of iron. But inside, he's a wounded fella, He's a flawed hero. He literally has a broken heart.
It's true.
Because he needs his costume to keep him alive, or at least what do they call it?
Yeah. What do they call it in the movies? The arc reactor.
Yes, that's it. They don't call that in the comic book, right? But
I think I want to say it was more of a magnet back in the day, like keeping the shrapnel.
I think it was too. Yeah. Yeah, because there was shrapnel in his heart, and that was a magnet that kept it in place or something, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that. I was never really an Iron Man guy growing up. I had a handful of issues as a kid, but it was never one of my favorites or anything. Did you read a lot of Iron Man?
No, not growing up. I really didn't until about the time New Avengers started in like 2006, and then I started getting a lot more into Iron Man. And I've gone back and read some of the key stories, but I've never, read a whole lot of Iron Man. I wouldn't say it's one of my specialties, but God bless him in the movies because he's the best.
It is pretty crazy that Iron Man is really one of the most important characters in Marvel history just because he sparked all those movies, Yeah. If that movie was a flop, none of that what follows happens.
Nope.
And they owe that really all to Robert Downey Jr., right? I mean, he...
Yeah.
And Gary Shandling.
Every penny he got. Yeah. Well, he didn't even show up until the second one, I don't think so.
Oh, really? I thought he was... No, wasn't he at the end at the
first one?
I think he was.
He might have been.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was. Because, I barely watched the second one, so I may not have even known him. But when I think Iron Man, I think Gary Shandling. So, anyway, who knows? Well, that's something I'm sure our listeners will let us know.
Yep. If we got it wrong, we're going to hear about
it. So, after issue 99 of Tales of Suspense, that was in March 1968, it was renamed Captain America. So there you go. That became Captain America. Because Tales of Suspense, it obviously started out with suspense stories. But then when the superheroes became a thing, the back of the books would always be like Iron Man, Captain America, I think Ant-Man, whatever were in there. So that just became Captain America, and that was in March of 68. So then Iron Man appeared in a one-off with Submariner in April, and then in May he got his own series. So May 1968, Iron Man started, and the volume 1 lasted 332 issues, and it ended in 1996.
Yep, that's when Heroes Reborn that we talked about last week started up.
That's right. Yep. So I was wondering, why in 96 did it end?
Yep. It explains it. They all ended there. And then had to get restarted in Heroes Reborn, and then basically once that ended, 12 issues later, rebooted yet again in the regular universe again.
Ugh. So Jim Lee was doing Iron Man?
I think Will Portacio was doing Iron Man.
I think that is correct. Yeah. Yep. I think I did see that. So, yeah, there have been multiple volumes of Iron Man over the years, just the way it goes now. But
yeah, they constantly reboot it. There's been various titles. I think there was one called International Iron Man before where he tried to find his real mom and stuff like that.
Oh, that sounds exciting.
Yeah. Yeah, they've done a lot of weird shit. There was a time recently where I was like the infamous Iron Man, I think, where it was basically Dr. Doom decided to become Iron Man, but Iron Man was gone. That was interesting.
Weird, but all right.
Yeah.
But Doom's right there. He just has to add some repulsor rays, and he's Iron Man.
Yeah, they're very similar.
He's right there.
There's been some good Iron Man Dr. Doom stories over the years, like that one where they went back in time to like King Arthur times together.
Yeah, I have that issue.
Nice.
And I can't remember, at least I had it at one point. I probably sold it. But I remember having it when I was a kid. That was either 150 or 200 or 250, one of those.
Yeah, 250 maybe, I want to say.
Somewhere. Yeah, maybe somewhere. It was one of those anniversary type numbers, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. A couple other characters in this book. Well, there's a lot of villains in this book.
Boy, are there.
Yeah. Well, we're not going to go background on everyone, but the main villain is a fellow named Justin Hammer.
Mm-hmm. Everyone will remember from the second movie.
Yeah, he was played by
Sam Rockwell.
Yeah, but in the comic books, he's a much older fella.
Yeah.
He's like an old man.
Yes, he is. Yeah. He's an old man with like an ascot?
Yes.
Yeah.
Charles Nelson Riley.
Yes.
But Justin Hammer is an unscrupulous British industrialist and head of various international design and manufacturing firms. He makes weapons by Hammer Industries. So he's basically the rival of Stark. What is Stark's company? Stark Technology? Or
Stark Industries at this time, I believe.
So they're both
industries.
industries.
It's changed a bunch over the years, but yeah.
So this Justin Hammer fella, he was his first appearance was Iron Man 120. So
oh wow,
yeah, I would have thought he was way earlier than that. Oh. And that's 1978, just 7 issues before this. And he was created by David Michelinie and Bob Layton. There's another character in this book.
Trade paperback I got right here.
Yeah, there you go. First appearance of Justin Hammer. And there's another character in this book we should probably mention. Her name is Bethany Cabe. Are you familiar with her at all?
Sure, yeah. She's come back many times throughout the years. They seem to keep bringing her back every couple years.
Yeah, I had no knowledge of who this woman was, but her first appearance was in Iron Man 117, 1978, created by Michelinie, Layton, John Romita Jr., but basically, she was married to a fella, and he was a boozer, and she thought he died in a car wreck. And she always had a lot of guilt that she didn't do more to try and get him off the booze and the drugs and whatnot. So she was living with that guilt. And then it turns out, though, Jack, that her husband was not dead.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, so he was actually kidnapped. I don't know who he was. He was some, ambassador or something. I don't know. But he got, he was being held prisoner, and they were, interrogating, trying to get secret information out of him or something. And then Bethany and...
She's off doodling with Tony Stark while he's just being kidnapped.
Yeah, then she finds out that her husband's still alive. She's like, oh, no, we got to go save my husband. So they go and save her husband, and then things go on. I don't know. Her husband, it's a very long, convoluted story. But basically she ends up leaving her husband because it turns out he's just a jerk. You know?
Oh, yeah.
So,
just a garden variety jerk.
Yeah. And then her and Tony they're on and off a few times, but he keeps hiring her. She was a private eye at some point. I don't know, or some sort of security person. So she becomes the head of Stark Security.
Guys in the Marvel universe.
Yeah. But she's the head of security for many different Stark companies or something over the years. So she's pretty regular character, the whole time with Iron Man, but yeah, I never heard of her.
Yeah, she's pretty popular. She's definitely showing up a bunch. Honestly, I would say she's more of a recurring love interest than Pepper Potts is in the comics.
Really?
Yeah, because Pepper Potts, I believe, was married to Happy Hogan for a good while. Yeah.
We talked about this on the LCS show, but currently I'm still watching those Marvel superheroes cartoons from 1968, and they're pretty great. And you can find them on YouTube. But basically, they just take the early issues of all these heroes and they just put them up as a cartoon. And so in these early issues of Iron Man, Happy Hogan is into Pepper Potts, but she is just smitten with Tony Stark. She wants nothing to do with Happy Hogan. So,
yeah.
Look at that. Persistence pays off, I guess.
Foggy and Karen Page situation going on there.
Yeah. All right, so I think those are all the main people we need to talk about in this book, but let's look at the cover, Jank. Why don't you describe it?
All right. Well, we got the corner box there, the little green box with Iron Man kind of running, as he often does when he has jet boots that he can fly around. He does a lot of running. It says Marvel Comics Group. We got the black banner across the top, and it says the Invincible Iron Man. The logo is very cool. It's riveted and looks like iron. So that's cool. Looks like iron beams. It's got a yellow, very kind of pale yellow background with the action lines shooting all over the place. And it says all alone against the super army. And we just get Iron Man just in the middle of a fracas, just standing right in the middle, punching Blizzard in the face while a bunch of other villains are all piling all around him. We got the Constrictor there, Man Killer, looks like Whiplash, the Melter, Porcupine in the back there, Leapfrog, a whole bunch of people who I'm sure we'll talk about later in this issue.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive that you can name all these heroes. These are like a buffet for Scourge. That's the level of villains these guys are.
I would not be surprised if many of these run his hit list.
Yeah, Scourge would eat well at this gathering of villains. Yeah, it's drawn by Bob Layton. Yeah, it's a heck of a cover. It's like if I was a kid and I saw this, I'd be buying the hell out of this book.
Yeah, that many villains, like for this amount of money,
Yeah.
40 cents.
What a deal.
Give it to me.
What a deal. So, all right, we open it up, and the Invincible Iron Man. When millionaire industrialist Tony Stark, inventor extraordinaire, garbs himself in solar-charged steel mesh armor, he becomes the world's greatest human fighting machine, the Invincible Iron Man. How about that? It's a great splash page of Iron Man, like, I guess he's using his repulsor rays, or he's just throwing people. I don't know. Can't tell exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, looks like repulsor rays to me. They're shooting out of his hand, all bright and yellow.
Yeah, he's launching all the villains off him, and the name of the book is A Man's Home is His Battlefield, because they're fighting at Justin Hammer's estate, which has a trick to it. We'll learn later.
Yeah.
Justin Hammer.
This narration boxes on this first page kind of was weird to me. They're just explaining the whole "a man's home is his castle" phrase and stuff like that. Like, it was a little overdone, but after that, I thought the writing got a lot better.
Yeah. So, all right, this is a great shot on page 2 of Iron Man. You can tell that's Romita. That looks,
yeah.
And then Justin Hammer, you can tell that's Romita too, I think. But, yeah, Iron Man's like, I don't get it, Hammer. What's a businessman like you doing with a goon squad like this? Hammer, really, Iron Man.
Really?
I would have thought yeah, you do Justin Hammer. You're good with the voices. Yeah.
I would have thought the explanation quite obvious. Haven't you ever wondered where some of your foes get the money to develop weapons, pay their bail, replace broken equipment? It is my pleasure to offer sanctuary and financial aid to those particular gentlemen and ladies for a mere 50% of their profits.
Oh, is that all? Just 50% of the profits?
Yeah. I think that's what the Tinkerer does, so I guess he's in competition. You know, whoever wants, certain villains, they gotta outbid each other.
Like the Uber and Lyft of supervillains. Competing head to head.
Exactly.
Then we see this guy Stiletto. Man,
yeah.
he just throws knives. Throws stilettos.
Seems like a bad choice against Iron Man.
It's like, what's he going to do exactly?
Yeah.
Well, I guess his plan was,
this
he
guy's
says,
got a very limited window.
But yeah, he thinks he can throw his stilettos into like the little slits that Tony Stark has for his eyes. You know, like he's bullseye or something. And and Iron Man just shuts down. He goes, I got some plexiglass over those eyes. Your little knives aren't going to hurt me, buddy. So
he's like, damn it, I'll just go fight Magneto. Oh, this is also a bad idea.
So then we get a guy, Discus.
Yeah.
Because if knives don't work, you know it will. Plates. That's
yeah, like Captain America's shield, but tiny.
What did he think was going to happen when he's throwing those at Iron Man?
I don't know. It seemed like a really bad idea all along. And then we find out Iron Man is, covered with magnets. Obviously, he's got reverse magnetic fields that he can just activate, and they just fling the discuses right back at Discus and hit him in the face.
And Stiletto too. He takes out Stiletto with him. Justin Hammer, man, what were you doing? You're just wasting your money on these clowns, you know?
I mean, I guess against somebody else, they might have had a chance, but not against Iron Man.
Yeah, maybe.
This is all a bad idea. Like 3D, man, they could take him.
I don't know. That's a real shot at 3D, man. I don't appreciate that one bit. But, yeah, Justin Hammer, he's like, hey, you can't take them on one at a time. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. This is you again. I took your part.
Fools. No one of you is a match for Iron Man alone. Your only chance is to attack en masse.
Yeah, so that's what they do.
We don't even know what that means, but they're all into it.
Yeah, there's the Beetle, Spider-Man villain, the Beetle. I remember that guy. He's in
Beetle.
there. Oh, and there's that, who's that water guy? We encountered him recently.
Wizard, I think?
Yeah, he was in that Scourge issue, right? Because he almost got whacked by Scourge, but he was late to the meeting, remember? He was the one who discovered all the dead bodies. And he met with Captain America on the pier there. Yeah, that's right.
That's right. Hey, all right.
It's all coming together now.
Kmart version of Hydro Man, essentially.
And, yeah, so the big fight goes on. Beetle grabs Iron Man, and Iron Man says, hey, let's take this fight outside so there's more room. So he goes flying through the roof of Hammer's house. And then he just reaches behind him, grabs the Beetle's wings, and rips them off.
Yeah, he's like, we're going to do an entomology experiment. We'll see if a beetle can fly without wings.
Yeah, and then here comes Leapfrog, because he's always dangerous.
Again, he can't even take on anybody. I think Speedball beat him in an annual.
So Iron Man grabs up the Beetle's like little sticky fingers that he's got, and he swings them around and throws them into Leapfrog. So that's two more doofuses taken out. And then, Justin Hammer, though, he calls to our buddy Water Wizard.
Water Wizard, quickly, use your abilities to form a battering ram from the surrounding waters and...
Are you crazy? I almost got scragged in Nam, buddy. And then I only had an army to fight.
You learned Nam.
The only thing my water-forming powers are going to make is a surf scooter to get me the blazes out of here. So long, Hammer. I'll send you a check for the bill you paid. Oh, that's nice. He's reimbursing him. Nice.
Yeah. He knows where his bread is buttered. He's not going to fight for Hammer, but he'll make sure he's paid up.
Yeah, how does this work exactly, Jank? He makes water into a water scooter that he stands on. And I was like...
I mean, I guess it works. Green Lantern can do it all the time with his weird constructs. So why not?
That's a cosmic power ring. This is still just water.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if you can control the density of the water, you can make it kind of solid enough to sit on.
So, all right, so they got to keep fighting, and more bums trying to take down Iron Man, and he's just ripping through all of them. At one point,
if this is drunken Iron Man, like, he's doing an amazing job.
He's a functional alcoholic.
Maybe he can stay on the side. Yeah, he's taking these guys out super easy.
So Constrictor wraps him up in his coils there, and here comes Man Killer. She's a foxy lady. Yeah. Man Killer. Are you familiar with her work? I've never encountered her, I don't think.
Well, I've read this story before, so yes, but I can't remember if I've ever seen her in anything else.
Yeah, she looks tough. She's a redhead, and but I don't know. She's just coming right at him. But Iron Man, now this confused me because Iron Man is right there,
which is a weird color.
Yeah, but Iron Man is tied up in Constrictor's coils, and Man Killer is walking right up next to him. And then Iron Man says, "What with my image projector, you won't know which one is me." And he makes like 10 different Iron Men around her in a circle. Hey, Man Killer.
None of which are being held by coils.
Yeah, he's the one who's right behind them, held by coils. What's so confusing about this?
But yeah, apparently in the 70s, as we learned with that Spider-Man comic, whenever there's illusions, even if they make no sense at all, you still have to try to hit them, like Spider-Man punching that wall.
Yeah, so she's trying to punch all these other Iron Men, and they just keep disappearing. And then he just busts out of the coils of the Constrictor. How does he do it? I don't know. He does it with something.
Well, he's got adamantium coils, so he can't break them, but he, like, has enough strength to kind of lift them off of him, so, like, to make enough space for him to just kind of slip out.
I guess. I don't know. And then he, like, throws a Constrictor
That's what he says anyway.
Yeah, Man Killer. And now we get Porcupine stomping on his way over.
Here we go.
Describe Porcupine for everybody.
Oh my God. I think I could best describe Porcupine in the words of Robert Wool from the 1989 Batman movie. He's the king of the wicker people.
I don't even remember that quote from, but I like when anyone mentions Arliss. Robert Wool. Right.
Yep. Because like Bruce Wayne had a suit of armor in his room that they were looking at that looked like a lot like this. He's kind of, man, he's almost got like a weird haircut that's made of little pieces of bamboo.
Yeah, it's like if he had a Mo haircut.
And it's got like a frilled out Mo haircut that just kind of sticks out even farther. And like a green gas mask under that. And then an entire suit basically made of the same type of bamboo shoots. And there's like a shoulder area that's basically like that same haircut. Just imagine it again over his shoulders. And then another layer kind of going down each arm. There's a couple different slots where there's like little bamboo and then underneath it another layer of bamboo. And the same thing going way down. He looks morbidly obese, but that might just be this suit. Because I guess we do see him without it later on. Yeah, it is pretty much just the suit. So
the Porcupine's
it's incredible. It looks terrible to walk in or do anything in, but man, it's pretty awesome.
Now, I remember when I was reading newer Marvel comics, wow, this was probably about 7 years ago now, but I was reading some Spider-Woman, and she had a baby, you know, and one of the babysitters she had for the baby was Porcupine.
That doesn't seem like a very good choice.
It's a little weird. But anyway, so Porcupine, he says, bah, those amateurs may have given you a little trouble, Iron Man, but now you face the Porcupine, and the concussion for my mini grenades should stop even you. And he opens up, it looks like he's got little nipples, but they're grenades. The little hatch flips up. So Iron Man, Jank, he's like, oh, I can't let him shoot those grenades at me because, you know, I'm in an invulnerable suit of armor and I'm sure they would really hurt me. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over and double axe handle smash the door for the grenade shut on his belly there. And then the grenades will go off inside Porcupine's suit and murder him.
But yes, murder him completely.
But it doesn't kill him. It just blows off his bamboo outfit.
He's left there just wearing his kind of orange long underpants.
Yeah, and he's not morbidly obese. He looks kind of jacked, actually, Porcupine.
Yeah.
But my question is, if they won't even murder him underneath his suit, you thought they were going to hurt Iron Man? These grenades? Come on.
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
That's pretty, yeah. Apparently bamboo is better armor than you would expect.
This is like the JV team going up against, all varsity. What are we doing? No chance.
This is probably why Iron Man never caught on that much, because even when all his villains are fighting, it's
like, who would you think of as the greatest Iron Man villain? Like, I don't know. Mandarin, would that be number one?
Yeah, I'd say that's got to be number one.
I guess he did some stuff with Crimson Dynamo and Titanium Man, and that those seem like natural guys to fight him, you know?
That definitely makes sense.
But otherwise, it's not like he has his rogues gallery like Spider-Man does, or, you know.
He does have his rogues gallery, but unfortunately this is them, so.
Yeah, like top notch.
Yeah, Hall of Fame
rogues
gallery. Yeah.
Because even Captain America's got like 3 or 4 really good ones and then a bunch of scrubs. But Iron Man just has a bunch of scrubs. So that is a problem. It is a problem.
Yeah, it sure is.
All right, so Justin Hammer's very mad. He's got his personal security team, and they all look like, I don't know, dressed like crickets. What are they? They're all in green outfits.
Yeah, quite the look.
So then the good guys show up. Tuffy Rhodes, not our Tuffy. James Tuffy Rhodes.
Different Tuffy.
He shows up in like a police helicopter. And kind of a coloring mishap.
Iron Man, but I thought you was illegal.
Every black character had to talk in jive in the 70s.
Yeah.
It's just something that happened. We apologize years later, but yeah. And then look in the second panel there, he's got a Caucasian hand holding up the megaphone.
That's quite weird.
But James Tuffy Rhodes
is transplant.
Because I think Iron Man, before this story, I think he was accused of murdering somebody, right?
Yes, he did murder somebody. I think it was like some diplomat guy. And he did murder him, but it was his repulsor blast kind of doing it on their own. Like he was not in charge of it. Somebody was remote controlling the armor.
Okay, there it is.
Got to see here. Yeah.
Because I thought the explanation was he wasn't controlling the armor. So I thought that meant he wasn't in the armor, but you're telling me Stark was in the armor.
Yep, he sure was. He just was not the one in control.
All right. Justin Hammer is going to flee because, Jank, Justin Hammer's estate here, it's on the water, but it has a little trick that it can do.
Yeah. Turns out it's kind of like the Shield helicarrier. It can just, lift itself up. It's got these little, hovercraft jets underneath it that can lift it, and he can drive it away like a boat.
And I guess he's trying to get to international waters, so then they won't have jurisdiction to arrest him. Because I was going to say, like, it's not like you're going to outrun Iron Man. You're a state hovercraft.
Yeah, probably not.
But he goes humming away, but Iron Man says, we're not going to let you get to international waters. He goes flying straight up in the air real high, and then he comes crashing down and just, like, spears it, like Roman Reigns. and boom, crack-a-coom, and it like splits the whole hovercraft estate ship in half, and everyone's sinking. But Iron Man pulls out some clown from the water, but he doesn't get Justin Hammer. Like, who's this guy?
He pulls out the guy who apparently created the device that was controlling him. So he needs this guy to keep his name. So that's why he goes after this guy.
But how did Justin Hammer escape exactly? He's an old man.
Yeah, that's a good question. Maybe he got Water Wizard to come back and give him a ride on his water scooter.
Yeah, because they just say, oh, that Justin Hammer escaped. How? He's stuck on the estate ship, and it just cracked in half. He's just swimming? He's just going to swim for it? I mean, come on, you can find him. He's got to be right there.
Got to have backup plans. Come on. He had a floating island. He's got to have like a plan C. That was plan B. Time to go on to the next one.
So the police mop up is swift and efficient, and soon on Monaco docks. So Hammer wasn't one of the POWs, huh? No, blasted, he got away. But the police say that that other evidence they've got should do the trick. And then we see Tony Stark in his like 70s outfit, opened up shirt, butterfly collar. Yeah, and he goes up to Tuffy Rhodes there, and he's like, hey, it looks like Iron Man is on the way to being cleared, and I couldn't have done it without you, Rhodey. Thanks. And he says,
hey, Jackson, I was just doing my job, and it was a gas. He doesn't even know his name.
Jackson is something. Jackson. That's what cool guys call everybody back in the 60s and 70s. Hey, Jackson. Yeah. Common term of respect. So then the news report on Iron Man.
Cool. Arnold Jackson.
Yeah, Arnold Jackson's the man. So they clear Iron Man. He's getting interviewed on TV on CBS. Look at that. Good on CBS is interviewing Iron Man. And Mayor Ed Koch of New York returns Iron Man's suit to him because they had confiscated it.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we're not even going to charge you for wearing your other suit, which you shouldn't have been doing.
Yeah, I'd like to see Ed Koch become Iron Man. Just have him. Like, do you even remember Ed Koch?
Mayor.
You have any knowledge of Ed Koch? Yeah, see, when I was a kid, Ed Koch, he was pretty famous. He was on he's on TV all the time as the mayor of New York. So, he was, nowadays, yeah, no one really cares. But back then, Ed Koch was a star. So anyway, Iron Man, he walks outside, and there's a little girl there in a JR Jr. fan club. That's a John Romita Jr. fan club t-shirt.
She's a smart little girl.
She drops her little dolly there on the street. Iron Man bends down to pick it up, but she's terrified of Iron Man because she says, hey,
no, Mommy, don't let him get me.
Go ahead. Finish it.
He killed that nice fat man on TV. I saw him.
He killed that nice fat man.
Take a shot at the dead guy.
I know. He killed that nice man on TV. You don't have to call him fat. What are you doing? Kid's a creep.
Killed that nice fat fugly guy.
So the mom's like, there, baby. Mommy won't let the bad man hurt you, I promise. Bad? But they prove that, but it doesn't. Doesn't help. Doesn't help. Once it's out there, that's how everyone knows you as a murderer of fat men. That's who you are, Iron Man. You're a murderer of fat men.
You're not getting any more Jenny Craig endorsements, that's for sure.
Now we see Tony Stark back at his office, and he's putting away the Iron Man outfit in his little briefcase, and he slams the lid shut. And he's very upset. So what do you do in all this? What do you do, Jank, when the world's up against you? Everything's going south. How do you deal with it?
Me, I turn to black tar heroin, but yeah, I guess in Tony Stark's case, liquor will do.
Yeah, he goes boozing it up at the party, but he's there by himself, just sitting drinking alone, and he's all dressed up there. He's got like a ruffled shirt and a bow tie and a black tuxedo coat on. He's drinking it up, and that's when he gets a call from Bethany Cabe, and we see her. She's in her apartment, laying on her belly, talking on the phone with just in a negligee, her legs up behind her, like she's talking to her girlfriends at high school or something. But no, she's talking to Tony Stark, and she wants to have a little date there with Tony Stark, get together and talk, because she's worried about Tony, I think, right?
Yeah. He's going on the same path that her husband did, so
yeah, exactly.
She's like, I didn't do anything that time. I better step in this time.
Yeah, and he says, sure, babe, I'd love to. Just let me grab a pen here. and scribble a reminder on one of Naldo's. I guess that's
napkins, okay?
napkins. Yeah. And she says, "Okay, Tony, are you all right? You sound. I'm hunky dory, babe. Really? You want to pipe me the coordinates?" And she says, "Well, there's a new creperie over at 914 Lexington. Would 1 o'clock be 914 Lex? Sounds yummy. See you there." But what does he write down, Jank?
Oh, he writes 419 Lex.
Yes,
he gets the reverse. Maybe he was writing left to right when he did that. I don't know.
So now we cut the next day there at 1 o'clock. We see Tony Stark at 419 waiting for Bethany. And we see Bethany at 914 Lexington waiting for Anthony Stark. And this was pre-cell phone, you know. So you were screwed if you were at the wrong place.
Now, I wonder what 419 Lex is, because I'm sure it's not a creperie, but I guess he didn't remember that part. But yes, it looks like it's like an office building or something. Probably
That's true. She told him to meet him at a creperie. Whether or not you get the address, or you should know you're not at a creperie. If you're looking at you should. But yeah, he was boozed up. He has no idea. He didn't remember clearly. He didn't write down creperie. He just wrote down 419. So Lexington or whatever. But she's upset because, you know, Tony's not there, and he's mad at her for not showing up. She's like, "Oh, who does she think she is standing up, you know, me, Tony Stark, international
billionaire play."
Yeah. So he's all mad. So now we cut to what is this, Avengers Mansion, I guess, and there's Jarvis doing dishes.
Yeah. What a thankless job.
You think it's Stark Enterprises would hook him up with a dishwasher. But no, he's got to do it by hand. Man.
Yeah.
For Jarvis.
It's a bum gig.
But he hears someone coming in the mansion there, and when you know it, it's Anthony Tony Stark, and he's in a white tuxedo, and he's got a smoking hot little blonde there with him in this skimpy red dress and high heels, and she's like, "Hey, Tony, aren't you going to show me your gadgets? You know, you're going to show me."
Yeah, he promised.
And he's going to show her around Avengers Mansion, all the top secret technology. And Jarvis is like, "What are you doing? You can't be showing this lady top secret stuff, you know?"
"That's okay, old buddy. I was just showing Miss Sunrise here some of my latest gadgets. They're brilliant, even if I do say so."
And she's like, "Oh, I think you're cute." And Jarvis is like, "But sir, the equipment is classified. Mr. Gyrich found out, he'd be most upset." Yeah, what was Gyrich's first name?
Henry Peter.
That's right, because he was always giving the X-Men the business too, right? Wasn't he always monkeying with them too?
He was like the Avengers liaison to the government for a while, and then he was just very anti-mutant.
Oh yeah, anti-mutant piece of dirt. Yeah, Henry Gyrich. So then Stark's
he says, "No, you can't suggest. I'm tired of being pushed around. You're just a butler, Jarvis, a servant, and in the future I'll thank you to remember your place."
And Jarvis gasps. Like a lady from the 1800s. He puts his hand up over his mouth. And then we get a shot of Jarvis looking very upset. And then this is just narration. Jarvis is a butler, the best. And so he doesn't react with the shock that suddenly fills his soul, with the hurt that widens his eyes. He merely answers, "Yes, sir. As you wish,
sir." Look at
sir.
that detail from Jarvis' comb over.
Yeah. It's quite the
They really went at it.
So Tony Stark, now he, even though he speaks a little drunkenly, his thoughts seem pretty clear here. He's like,
yeah,
I didn't mean to snap at Jarvis. But I don't know. Anyway, but then the blonde grabs him and says, "Oh, come on, Tony Woney. Ain't you going to show me that special invention you want to try out? What do you think that is? Some sort of sex toy he's doing with the...
I think it's just stick."
Sure, Amber, whatever you say. So the next morning, Tony Stark wakes up and he's got like the lady's stole that she was wearing wrapped around his neck, and he's at his desk, and he's got the flower that was in her hair is now in his hair. He's like, "Oh God,
I'm still wearing the tux, so I don't know what the heck happened last night."
That was the invention. Some sort of clothes swapping invention, and then they got him back. Yeah. I don't know. But, he has like a secretary, Mrs. Arbogast or something. Is that it? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But she buzzes and she says, "Hey, Mr. Jarvis wants to see you, sir. He says it's rather important." And he says, "Okay, send him in." So, wait a minute. He's now at his office. So they had sex back at the Avengers Mansion, and then he goes into the...
That's quite the bender. I don't know what the heck happened.
Because he still so even though he's no longer at the same location, he has the flower from her in his hair, and he's got the stole around him, and he shows up to work like that.
He's gone. He's still fully clothed. I don't know. I need someone to explain these missing hours. It seems like a lot happened.
I don't know what happened. But, so anyway, Tony Stark, why don't you say what he says there, Jank?
He says, "Okay, send him in." "Could you make it quick, Jarvis? I got a headache bigger than Adrian Barbeau's."
Yeah, I was going to say big.
It gets cut off.
Yeah. But then Jarvis says, "What I have to do won't take but a moment, sir. Just long enough to tender my formal notice of resignation." And he hands him a letter there, and then Stark takes it. Oh, Stark.
Yeah. Well, ouch! What do you mean? I know we had a disagreement last night, but surely that...
"No, sir. One in my station expects occasional stern treatment. However, in consideration of recent trends, I thought it might be best for all concerned if I were to seek position elsewhere, where I might be less of an irritant. I hope you understand, sir." And Jarvis leaves him.
Yeah.
So, and then Tony Stark.
Do you know the controversy with that resignation
We'll get into that in a second. But so Tony Stark just stares out the window, and we get some narration. He understands that for the past few weeks he has been blaming his mounting problems on an inanimate suit of red and gold armor, on a micro-circuited scapegoat. For it wasn't Iron Man who had yelled at Jarvis, who had been behind any of it. Tony Stark shudders slightly, understanding at last that the root cause behind the tangled, strangling web that his life has become was and is himself. And then he says quietly, "God help me." And the image... describe the image, Jank, for the people.
He's kind of looking out the window, pressing his hand against the glass of like a sliding glass window. He's got like a framed picture of Iron Man in his office there, which is nice. And then we're kind of seeing this all through the glass of a bottle of whiskey that's sitting right there on the table. It's completely empty now, and we're just kind of seeing his reflection through that. It's pretty great.
Yeah, you're seeing him through the bottle of whiskey. So he's in the bottle, basically. Yeah. This drunkard. Yeah. All right, so let's talk about, that next issue, Demon in a Bottle. That's the big one.
He's in it.
All right. So let's talk about the resignation letter, because in the digital copies we're reading, it's all like kind of blocked out. Like you can't make out the letters.
Yeah, it's blurry. So it resembles words, but you couldn't actually read anything.
So why don't you tell the kids what went on with this resignation letter?
So I guess in the original printing of this, they didn't mean to actually put any real, words here. Like David Michelinie hadn't come up with anything to put in there. So, it was just kind of up to the editorial office to do something. And they decided to use, somebody who had recently quit Marvel's resignation letter and just kind of copy that and put it in there. Do you know who it actually was?
No, but I think Michelinie did intend to have something there. Cause if you go to issue 130, in the letters column, they open up the letters column by Michelinie explaining, like apologizing for what happened. And I think they got switched up. Like whether he was leaving up to the editors or what, but it was supposed to be a resignation letter from Jarvis, obviously. And maybe the whoever did it, because the way they would do it, what do they call it? Some sort of technique where they put it in like a stencil thing or whatever. I don't know. Yeah. But anything.
This trade paperback, it talks a little bit. It's got some correspondence with David Michelinie from February of 2005.
Oh, okay.
After our conversation about uncovering the original text for Jarvis's resignation, I got to thinking and my memory finally kicked in. I realized that it wouldn't really matter if I did have a copy of that script because the text for Jarvis's resignation never actually existed. Here's the story.
Oh.
When I wrote the plot, I simply called for Jarvis to hand Tony Stark his resignation. I didn't specify what that document said. When John Romita Jr. drew the panel in question, he had the resignation facing the reader, prominently showing a blank sheet of paper. Someone at Marvel called and asked if I wanted to write something for them set in print, or if I preferred that they just Greek it in, that is, put in something illegible that just looked like print. I opted for the latter since what was on the paper wasn't really important. What mattered was what was in the character said. Xeroxes of the lettered and inked pages that I received to proofread, long since discarded, had an unreadable paste-up on the previously blank page. Needless to say, when I got my first printed copy of the comic, I was completely surprised to find an actual letter in Jarvis's hand. When I called my editor about it, I was told that someone, they never told me who, had substituted an actual letter of resignation from someone who had recently quit Marvel, with certain words changed to make it look like it was part of the Iron Man universe. I could never find out whether this was intended as a joke, a last-minute touch of realism, or someone taking a cheap shot at then editor-in-chief Jim Shooter.
Oh,
but
no.
that's basically why I asked if I could write an explanatory notice in the letter column.
Well, if we know anything about Jim Shooter and his relations with people in Marvel, I'm going to guess someone was taking a shot at Jim Shooter.
Yeah, that's very possible. Yes, they could just slip that one in.
Jim Shooter. Yeah, because like the explanation in 130, it makes it sound like they had a resignation letter that they wanted in there, and then it got accidentally misplaced or replaced with this one by accident. But it seems like this was kind of actually intentional to a degree.
This was somebody trying to take shots.
So also, there's also a little note here that the letter is signed Jarvis, and then his last name is illegible, like it's just scribbled. But I guess later on it was revealed that Jarvis is actually his last name, and his first name is Edwin. Right? Yeah. So that's a little screwy too. So basically, this whole resignation letter was a big mess up.
Well, he's like me. I just go by Jank. He just goes by Jarvis.
You go by Kev.
Everything Jarvis.
So you get
yeah, that's right.
So there you go. Yeah, thanks for the extra info there on the resignation letter. And would you recommend people pick up the old Demon in a Bottle trade paperback?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good one. I think it's fairly cheap too. It's pretty thin for being a good 9 issues there. It's only $24.99.
Oh, only $24. What a deal! So there it is. All right. So the creators, we've talked about these people many times on this show, and just to remind everybody, though, David Michelinie, he had 2 runs on Iron Man. The first one was uninterrupted from issue 116 to 157, and that was from 78 to 82. And then he came back with issue 215, and he ran till 250. So yeah, I think that 250, I think, was that Iron Man, Doctor Doom, King Arthur story. I think that was the last.
Sounds about right.
And then he also wrote annuals 9 and 10, but that was from 87 to 89. So look at that. That's about 70 issues total of Iron Man.
I mean, he's one of, if not the definitive Iron Man writer, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't know. Jumps to mind more so than him.
I guess Larry Lieber. How many did Larry Lieber do in the early days? I have no idea.
I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, he wrote the 2 big definitive stories, Demon in a Bottle, and then that second run was Armor Wars, right?
Armor Wars, yep.
And I've never read that either.
I actually haven't either. I've seen videos on it, but I've not read it.
Oh, all right. Yeah, sadly, I guess we could do it on the show because that would have been 87 or.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I think it runs through multiple issues, but yeah. We could definitely take a look at one of them.
All right, John Romita Jr. Iron Man is when he first started to get popular as an artist because he was just doing minor things, and this was his first big run, I guess. And he did 27 issues between 1978 and 82. And then he also had a second run on Iron Man, 10 issues from 90 to 91. So, but wait, John Romita did the King Arthur thing, though. I'm almost positive. So if he wasn't there for 250.
He could have done fill-in or something. He could have just come back for one issue, not really a run.
But that issue would have been in between 87 and 89, and he wasn't back until 90. So maybe it was issue 150.
Maybe
we'll Google it up. But And then the final creator on this is Bob Layton. He did 36 issues between 76 and 81, and then another 30 issues between 87 and 90. So 2 runs on Iron Man seems to be the magic formula for these fellows.
Yeah, everyone wanted to come back for a second piece. Yeah. I guess it is 149 to 150, it looks like.
See, there you go. I knew it was like a 50 issue, but I couldn't remember what it was.
Yep.
Yeah, so 150. That would make more sense because that would have been like around 82, and that's when I was a kid. So, yeah, I would have had it when I was little. Because I wasn't buying Iron Man in 87 or 88 or anything. So, anyway, when I think Iron Man artist, Bob Layton comes to mind right away for me. I don't think John Romita is Iron Man necessarily. I think Daredevil, X-Men.
Yeah. Spider-Man for me, I think, is my number one. Yeah, and then Daredevil close behind.
But Bob Layton and Iron Man are pretty synonymous in my mind. Also, Michelinie, he wrote Spider-Man too, right? Amazing Spider-Man.
Yes, he did.
For a while.
Yeah.
So I was buying it at the time he was writing.
The Todd McFarlane era, yeah.
So what'd you think of the writing here by Michelinie?
Well, like I said, I wasn't a big fan of that first page, but really after that, it got a lot better to me. I loved the fight where Iron Man was taking on all these villains and just kind of whooping them like chumps real quick. I thought it was fun. He was kind of just cracking wise, and it was a good battle. And then it took a turn there in the second half and got more serious, and I liked it. I found it all very believable. The whole, him and Bethany Cave kind of missing their connection and him just getting it wrong and kind of them both getting mad at each other because they didn't show up. I thought that was good. I thought that was a believable problem that they could have, and it just one more nail in his coffin, as far as going downhill with the whole drinking problem. So, I thought it was great. I thought the little girl, being scared of him was a good touch too.
He murdered that fat man. I liked him getting mad at Jarvis. I liked him showing up drunk at the mansion there and going to show his gadgets to that lady. And
we were still confused about what happened with that lady, but other than that.
Yeah, there were some slight missteps. Like the continuity, the man killer fight aspect of the Constrictor was weird. And how he ends up at his office the next morning with the flower in the stall. But anyway, it's a good story. That's rock solid. And we get to see a lot, internally going on with Tony Stark. His life's falling apart, and there he is.
I mean, it was a good move to make him, to do this whole arc of him becoming a complete alcoholic. Like, it makes sense for a rich guy who's basically got everything, that he's just, kind of bored with everything, so he's turned into the booze and doing a little too hard. It's happened many times, and it made Tony Stark, who's this kind of untouchable, billionaire playboy guy, kind of more human and made him more relatable.
Yeah, it's a good job there. And the art here is also very solid. Again, it looks more like Layton than Romita, but you can see Romita peeking through there occasionally. And it's just nothing too amazing or anything, but it's solid, good stuff.
I've got no complaints. And like you mentioned that last panel where they're kind of showing Tony through the bottle, like that's all good, really good stuff.
Yeah, it's real good. So I don't know, not much to complain about with this issue. What do you think, Jank? 1 out of 10.
I'm gonna go probably an 8. All around, I really enjoyed it. Plus, we got some Porcupine in it, so what tops that?
Also had a nice cover
for Villain of the Year, I think.
Also had a nice cover as well. So I think 8 sounds right to me. So 8 out of 10 for Iron Man 127. All right. So what do you have next week, Jank?
All right. So next week, I'm gonna go back. We're gonna stick with Marvel. So we're going to, last week, I think it was after the show, actually, you had mentioned, the leader, the Hulk villain, the leader.
Yep.
So I figured I would go back to one of my favorite eras here, and we're going to do Incredible Hulk number 345.
Incredible Hulk, what year is this?
This is 1988.
Say
my very first appearance on the show. 345. 1988.
Yep. Yeah, because you had picked a Hulk book before. Where was that in relation to this? Was that before or after this?
That was a little bit before this.
Okay. So we're talking, is this Gray Hulk? Talking about?
Yep, sure is. Gray Hulk, Peter David, Todd McFarlane.
Oh, this is going to be awful. This is going to be awful. I hate Peter David and I hate Todd McFarlane. So wow.
Oh, how dare you? Peter David is my favorite comic book writer of all time.
Wow. That is a bold statement. That is a bold statement. All right, so this is the leader, though, is here?
Yep, the leader is here. This is a big leader story. It sets up a lot. This is kind of what starts the whole Hulk going to Vegas. Everyone thinking he's dead. So,
all right. Because like I said, I'm watching those old cartoons from 1968 on YouTube, and there's an episode where the leader, his first appearance, and he conjures up these pink, like, humanoid robot kind of things to fight the Hulk, but they're made out of, like, rubber or jelly. So the Hulk can punch him all he wants. It doesn't do anything to him, you know? And did you see that one?
No, I haven't gotten back to it yet.
It's pretty awesome. It's pretty great.
So, well, there are no jelly men, sadly, so you'll have to live.
That's unfortunate. So, all right, so next week, Incredible Hulk 345, Peter David, and Todd McFarlane. Yeah, watch us on YouTube. Leave some comments over there, some questions. Tell us if you have any books you want us to read. I'm sure you'll do that. All right, until next week, don't get any jank on you.